Welcome back to the foundry. It's been a minute since we've laid a wrench on the old rammer. It's been a good truck, and I think it deserves a little bit more TLC, so there's a couple little things I've been wanting to do for a while. I've got a little bit of time this evening, so let's dig into it. One of the things I've been wanting to do to this truck for a while is replace the broken sunglasses holder. As I get older, I found that I like to wear specs when I drive. It's just easier on the eyes. So this is the problematic part. The little tab is broke off of here that holds, it snaps up in there. And while I'm up here, I want to see if there's something I can do to fix these map lights. I believe there's supposed to be a little coil spring up above them, and it feels like that it has fallen out on each side. So hopefully those springs are still bouncing around up in there somewhere, and it's just a matter of putting them back in place, seeing if I can correct it from coming out again. And so I'm going to remove this overhead console, and this is for the garage door opener, and something is broke on. Maybe it's not broke, maybe it just came out of track. I don't know. This stuff's very flimsy. It's a Dodge, so you have to be very careful. I've never taken one out, but I believe all you have to do is push, just like that. Push these little tabs here, and I'll have to set down the camera to do the rest. As I suspected, the springs have come out for the switch, and they are in here. Here's one. And I think this is a sleeve for the spring, or a button. The other spring is down in there. I'll have to dig it out. I also noticed I'm missing one of the map lights. So I'm going to get this into the clean room onto a table where I can spread it out and see what I got to do to make this, to correct these issues. So the garage door opener tab was not broken. It had just come out of place. So I popped it back in. It's working good. I did find some broken plastic pieces of a tab, so that's encouraging. The Dodge brothers, I tell you, back in the 90s when they decided to design the interior for the second gen, they're like, I've got an idea. Let's use the cheapest, most garbage plastic we can possibly come up with for an interior. So I was able to retrieve the components I hope I can use to repair my map light switches. I found some random LED lights on the shelf, so that should solve the bulb issue. And so apparently what has happened here, these switches are somewhat poorly constructed, it appears to me. What you end up with is, well, this one's a little better example. If you look close, there are these small plastic teats, and they slide up into the switch base. This goes on like so, slides on those teats, and it's kind of a pressed fit. But what happens over time as the plastic degrades, because it's a Dodge, the blessed teats break off. Look at that. I've only got one left over here. So I've got an idea to maybe solve that, and also the internal components of the switch. If my reverse engineering is of any merit, which is questionable, but the only thing that makes sense to me is to assemble the inside of the switch as such. And this right here will slide down into this white plastic piece, this cylinder. And it's grooved in there, so it basically rides in a track. And it sticks out here, so it's like a button. And so anyway, I'm going to try a couple things and see what I can come up with to put this together. We'll test it and see how it works. I'm going to start with the passenger side switch. I'm just going to drop this button in there. It rides in these, you probably can't see them, but there's grooves in there for that to fit in. And then this piece goes in here, also in grooves. And then this piece drops on top, and then you slide it down on the teats. Oh, you've got to have those teats or the switch will not work. Like so. There it is. That's how it's supposed to work. You should hear it click. If you don't hear it click, you don't have it assembled correctly. Now I'm going to plug it in and see if it actually works. So there's something still incorrect in the switch base. I think it's because it's broken. I haven't corrected it yet. And so it moves around, but it does work. Man, that's bright. But you move the wires just right and it kicks on by itself. So I'm going to have to get in there. I'm going to go ahead and pull that whole plastic piece out and get it spread out and see if I can do something to fix that. Okay, so let's all have a good laugh at my expense. I didn't realize the map lights were not independent from the dome light. So I had the door open and that's why the light wouldn't shut off. But as you can see, it does work. Works good. All right, so now I need to do something to reinforce this so the switch doesn't fly asunder again. And I think I'll use that. I should have enough here. Okay, so I reinforced this switch with super glue. Seems to be holding well. Unfortunately, the switch on this side, now this was the side with all the broken teats, it was not salvageable, mainly because there's a, see if I can situate here where something is visible. There's supposed to be a plastic beak that comes out here that this piece here slides on. And what this is a ratchet mechanism. So every time you hit that button, these ratchet parts move up in a track and twist. One time, one notch. It's on the notches on the end of this thing. That's what actually makes contact every time it twists. It opens, closes, opens, closes. So anyway, that beak is, I'm calling it a beak, I don't know what you'd call it. It's broke off in the end of here. I noticed that thing was crooked when it was sitting in there. I went to straighten it and boop, that was the end of that. So anyway, I've decided to, in the interest of time, and I just don't care that much, I've decided to bypass this switch altogether. And that's what I've done here with the white wire. I've just connected the two white wires together. The red wires are already connected together from factory. And now I'm going to operate both lamps from one switch. So it is what it is. I can't tell you the last time I used a map light anyway. So when I turn the switch, it's just going to, both of them are going to come on instead of one. I don't think that's a big deal. I'm just glad it works. It's bright. And it works in correlation with the dome light, so, which I didn't know because these haven't worked the whole time that I've owned the truck. So that'll make the interior a little brighter when I'm getting in at night, so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to reassemble the map light assembly and see what we have to do to fabricate this door on here to where it works properly. So this is what I was concerned about. This tab over here is healthy. This one over here is snapped off. So I'm just gonna have to put the new one up in there and see how it fits and see if there's something I'm gonna have to modify to make it work. Okay, so this is what I came up with. The issue I was having is this aftermarket sunglasses door holder, whatever you want to call it, it's not shaped exactly right. I'd recommend finding a higher quality than potentially what I did. So the problem I was having when the door was mounted, and part of this problem could be that my overhead console is just worn out from the, it's missing one little keeper and so forth. So there's that. But the problem I was having is this door was positioned a little too far back this direction, and my striker was not making contact, so the door wouldn't stay closed. So to address that, I did two things. The first thing I did was I installed, let's see if I can, let me just pop this out of here because it comes out so easy now that it's worn out. I installed Velcro strips, the soft side, so they don't make noise, and I'm using them as shims basically. And so what that does, let me set the camera down and put this back in. So it helps position the door more this direction. And it's quiet because I use the soft part of the Velcro. Now, that wasn't quite enough on its own. It helped significantly. And so the second thing I did was I trimmed a piece of vacuum hose and stuffed it behind the trigger here for the striker. And there's already a plastic tab, I don't know what you'd call that little spot, but it holds that hose in there nicely. So the hose is forcing the tab out that way so it strikes where it's supposed to, and the hose acts as an elastomer, so it's flexible, so it easily opens and closes. So it's unfortunate I had to go through all this rigging to make this thing work. It's just the way it is. And then we've got our new our repaired switch. So yeah, I think we're ready to go back in the truck with it. All right, overhead console back installed. It's a little bit dark in here, so let's test out the light. Ooh, luminous. That's bright. I better get my glasses on. Oh yeah, luxurious. Love it.